Hello, Hero Collectors here. How's it going, everybody? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. I know I am, and today we're going to be reviewing these three figures from the Marvel Legends Zabu Build-A-Figure wave. A huge shout out to my buddy Gwen for helping me get the cable, but the Ka-zar and the Black Winter I was able to acquire on an Amazon sale. I think they were like $14, maybe $15. I can't remember exactly. But I got all three of these around the same time, so I figured why not review them all together. So without further ado, let's start off this review, and we'll start with the Black Winter figure. Alright, getting into Black Winter here. Just off the bat, if you do want to see a comparison between Black Winter and my Herald of Galactus Thor, I did do that in the unboxing video of this figure and Ka-zar. I'll try to have a card pop up around this time so you can see those comparisons. And I tried some swaps with Ka-zar for a few other options. But yeah, this is a repaint that was kind of inevitable, but not my most wanted repaint because I do want the look that Thor has. Post being a herald, he's still kind of in this costume, but he has the bare arms and then the winged helmet. But this is not Thor. This is the Black Winter approximating his visage. And I think it looks really good. There's not a lot of color shading. In fact, I don't think there's any. It's just black and this kind of purplish blue color. And then the face has some painted detail. He's got some brand new glossy, very glossy hair. And then this tattered cape. Pretty good. I like it. It's very ethereal. If you don't know much about Black Winter, it's basically the Galactus of the previous universe. If you didn't know, the Marvel Universe has gone through like 8 or 9, I want to say, versions, maybe 7 or 8. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, this was the one that would devour universes, I think. It's all kind of nonsense, cosmic horror kind of stuff, but you can see his gauntlets. He's got shoulder pads and, of course, the symbol there. Not much else really to say about the costume, but yeah, there it is. You can see in this hand he has a grip hand, and this one it is a wide open kind of expression hand, and that just kind of fell out. I don't know why. But yeah, let's take a look at the other accessories that this figure has. I will say he is very back heavy because of the very thick hair. And there he goes, as you can see. But he also has a set of fists. I'm not really going to display him with these on the shelf. I'm going to keep him with these because then I can use his hammer, which is the same sculpt as the Herald Thor, just cast in a more, I think it's just a black plastic, maybe a little bit of translucency to it, but none that I can really see offhand. But then you also have this effect piece. It's kind of smoky, glossy, matte in some areas, just to add some variation, it looks like. But it just kind of ports on. You can see where the handle goes in, and then it just equips there. And you just put it into the hand. If I can get a proper grip on it, there we go. So yeah, that is him and his hammer. It fits very loosely in the hand, and with this effect piece on it, it is heavy. So it doesn't always like to sit where you want it when you initially pose the figure. So for now, I'm going to take it out of his hand because now we're going to go over some of the articulation. Not some, all of it. I don't know why I said some, but the head can look down that far, and it can look up a little bit. As you can see there, it is, again, very top heavy, so it wants to sit back. It does have some range on the ball because it is a ball and hinge there. It's got some tilt, and of course he can look side to side. Arms can go full 360. The shoulder pad is on the ring system, so it goes with the arm, and the shoulders can go up that far and down. He's got a bicep swivel, and he does have a single jointed elbow that can go that far. Stops at the gauntlet piece there. This hand hinges up and down, so do the fists, but this hand hinges side to side for the hammer, which is a smart move. Then you have the ab crunch, which can crunch down and crunch back. It's not a crunch, I'm sorry, this is a diaphragm kind of ball. So you can see it turns that far and tilts that far and can twist a full 360. Hips can go out that far. Can kick forward. These skirt pieces do get out of the way. He's got a thigh cut, double jointed knees, and he can't quite kick his own butt. Oh, we can try again. And it touches a skirt. But if you are a stickler for pins, the bottom of the knee is actually pinned, while the top of the knee is actually pinless. I don't know why that is. But then he does have ankles that go down that far, and they can go up a little bit, and he does have pivot there. Two things I want to talk about. This is a bit more pliable material, so it will get out of the way for posing. And then this little hoop here, you can actually kind of store the hammer in it. It's rather awkward, and I want to say it can sit like this sometimes. I think I did that with my Herald Thor, or maybe I'm thinking of a different Thor, but I was able to get it sitting like this at one point. But yeah, I think that's everything in terms of features that I wanted to talk about. So let's go into the final thoughts on this figure. So my final thoughts on this Black Winter Thor are not really many. It's a serviceable figure that covers all the bases I wanted out of this particular character, even though this character wasn't something I felt like I needed for the collection. I'm glad to have it. He will go on my cosmic display with my Galactus. But in the end, it's not my most wanted. Look for a Thor, and while it is a fun, more modern inclusion, just wasn't high up on my list. I feel like I'm really hammering that point in. The articulation is fine. I have no serious complaints. It is a Thor figure, but it's one of the more articulated Thor figures. Yeah, my biggest complaint in terms of just the figure itself is just the balancing issue, and that's mostly due to the hair. So if maybe they could have hollowed it out a little bit more, I would have appreciated that, but even then, it's not a big deal because you can still pose him fairly decently. Does he have the fun factor? I'm going to say yes. You can have some fun with him. I try to get a little creative with my shots. He has a very imposing kind of feel to him when you have him on the shelf. Like the dead eyes, the fact that he has no pupils really adds to the kind of menacing ethereal look. So when you pose, if you get the right angle, it can really look scary. And then my final rating, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. That's my average score. I think this is a serviceable figure if you are wanting a Black Winter for your collection. If not, you don't, you need it for the BAF piece, but you don't necessarily need it for a Thor or Galactus collection. It was a very small appearance in that issue, and the Black Winter has not appeared since. So if you're not a fan of this, you don't necessarily need it for a collection. All right, now moving on to Ka-zar here, you can see he is just a nearly naked man. He's got some boots with the fur, he's got the loincloth, and got one of the accessories actually back here. And then it's just mostly bare chest, bare legs, and a muscly blonde man. It's a pretty good body. It's built off the Vulcan body, so you can see the musculature there and that cut. That actually does kind of bother me on this figure. It usually doesn't bother me if it's a costume, but for this, because it's flesh, just having that kind of cut there, for no reason, kind of bothers me. You know, like this cut here for the articulation is fine, but this, there's just nothing to it. But yeah, it looks good. I like the face. The hair looks pretty good. The shading that they put in the front here, I only just noticed. It just looks a little strange, but otherwise okay. But yeah, turn around to the back, and you can see all that. It's pinless, so, you know, he's going to stand pretty still on a display. I do kind of want to get a few more Ka-zar figures to do some customs, like live-action Wolverines, because of the spare chest. And if you've seen Deadpool and Wolverine, you know why. But yeah, not much really else to say about this figure. Eventually, I do plan to get a second and probably third Fang figure. So when I get those, I won't need the necklace for all of them. So I'll probably put one on this figure just to help spruce it up a little bit. But getting into the accessories, as you can see, he does have this little knife here. Just slots into the back of the little loop there. Set him down for a second. You can see he also comes with a set of fisted hands, a set of grabby hands, or kind of open expressive hands-ish. And then I haven't mentioned the hands on the figure because he comes with the spear. And the spear looks really good. It's got what looks like to be a stone tip with a rope and just a stick. But he has trigger finger hands to grip the spear itself, which I can see it bothering some people. It doesn't really bother me much. It still grips pretty well, and sometimes when you do grip something along these lines, you do kind of have your fingers spread out a little bit, but either way, it works, and I like it. It looks pretty good in Ka-zar's hand, as you can see there. But let's take that out for a second, and let's go over the articulation. So the head is on a ball and hinge, so he can look down that far and look up ever so slightly. Can turn side to side. He's got butterfly joints, which go in and out that far. Shoulders go up that high, and then bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. These hands go side to side, but all the other hands go up and down. You can see there, he's got the ab crunch. Go forward that far and back that far. Very gappy on this torso. In fact, you can even kind of see where the butterfly joints meet in the middle. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can. He's got a waist swivel kind of hidden by the loincloth. You got to really push it down if you want to really utilize it, but it's there. The hips go out that far. And if you want to know, it's brown plastic underneath the loincloth, not the flesh tone. You can kick forward a bit. The loincloth is kind of a stiffer material, so it doesn't allow for a ton of movement forward, or as much movement forward. It does allow for some. And then he's got a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and oh, come on. No, the boot. Oh, yep, he can kick his own butt. The boots, I thought were going to hinder it, but they don't. And then, yes, he has boot rotation there. Ankles go up, and they go down pretty far, as you can see there. And then, yeah, he's got ankle pivot. So what are my final thoughts on Ka-zar? So with Ka-zar, I don't have a ton really to say. It's not a character I am super familiar with. I at least know of him because of cartoons and a few appearances in some comics I've read. But it's not one of my favorite characters, so I don't have any seriously strong feelings about the way the figure has been executed. I think it looks really good and fits what I know about Ka-zar. Not having the Zabu Build-A-Figure completed, it kind of bugs me that I don't have that, so I can't pair him with Ka-zar. But otherwise, this was a fun figure to pose. I think I put him against Sauron, which I know is very fitting for Ka-zar. And yeah, who doesn't love a jungle man in a loincloth as an action figure? So I'm very happy to have him. And yeah, if I end up getting multiples, I'll be using them for some Wolverine customs. But even on his own, I think it's a really good Ka-zar figure to get. Does he have the fun factor? I think so. I would say yes. He's got some good options with the hands and the spear and the knife. Maybe another expression would have been nice to really like maybe a gritted teeth, get that feeling like he's hunting something or something like that. I don't know, but on his own, it was pretty fun to pose. He's got some good range. There's not a lot of clothes to really hinder that, so, you get a lot of range with a figure like this. In terms of a rating, let's go with the 7.5. I think I had more enjoyment with this figure than I did the Black Winter, and I think this guy comes with a bit more to enjoy him with, if that makes any sense. So that's Ka-zar. Now saving the best of these three for last. Is it the best? Let's talk about it. We've got Cable here, and I will do some comparisons of him because I didn't do an unboxing video of this guy, so I do want to talk about the other Cables I have in my collection compared to this one. But as you can see, he's in an X-Men uniform. A lot of people have been calling this the Capcom Cable because this is what he wears in Marvel vs. Capcom, I suppose. I never played that game, but it does resemble the 90s Cyclops costume, so I at least understand where it's coming from in terms of a look. You can see the face is very grizzled. I even like the paint at the eye. You can see it's still got like the iris and the pupil and all that. He's got some little bit of stubble. He hasn't shaved in a few days. Looking good. He's got the eye effect. This is reuse of the Hercules body, the classic Hercules, and he does have pins on the arm, but not on the legs and metal arm, as you can see. And then a point of potential contention with people is the way they design these straps. It doesn't really bother me. I know it bothers some. It just, because of how low it sits, my brain blends it into the belt itself. So I don't have any serious problems with it. And what's cool is, so there's no strap connecting these two in the back, but you can see that It's just into the grooves, and if you really wanted to, you could potentially take this off, I think. But I don't want to do that fully. But yeah, it's just kind of grooved into the torso sculpt there. But yeah, it's a good figure. I like the way it looks, but it's not my favorite look for Cable or my like mind's eye look of Cable. So let's, before we go any further, bring out my other Cable figures. So here we have the X Sanction Cable, or Avengers X Sanction, and then we have the 90s X Force Cable that came in, I think, the Sasquatch wave. So I have no real connection to this costume. And like, I haven't read any Cable or any books where Cable looks like this. I have read where he kind of resembles this, and this is more my mind's eye of Cable, just that 90s look when he was very popular. You know, I haven't read a lot of Cable, so I don't know exactly his whole history. But what's interesting is this is my favorite of the Cable figures, this X Sanction look. I don't know why. When I talk about fun factor, this is one of those examples of whenever I pick this guy up, I just have a lot of fun posing him. And I can't explain it. It's just a fun figure that I enjoy. So in terms of this Cable comparing to these two, I think it's a better figure than both of them, but I just don't have the connection. He's still staying in my collection. In fact, he's knocking this Cable out of my X-Men shelf and pushing him to my X-Men Overflow because he has the uniform, and it just kind of fits with that shelf a bit better. But yeah, in terms of a figure, I think he beats both of these two, but I think this one's still my favorite. And this is my mind's eye. So all of them have something going for them in terms of being in my collection for me. So let's remove them. And now we'll talk about the accessories. As you can see, he has trigger finger hands equipped, but he also has a fist for his right hand and a kind of grip or expressive hand for his left hand. Both are gloved. And then he also has two guns, which we have seen before, and I just knocked him over there for a second. From other figures, I can't exactly tell you which ones previously. Maybe this was even from a Cable. I can't remember exactly, but they're decent. I like the way they're painted. You know, they've got a nice silver mold to them, but then a bit of black, maybe a dark brown. I think it's dark brown to add some detail to them. But yeah, they do a decent job. So now let's talk about articulation. So he is on a ball and hinge at the head, so that means he can look up that far. He can look down that far. He can look side to side, of course, and he's got some tilt. Shoulder can go up that high, can do a full 360. He's got a bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbow on this side, pinned elbow on the other side. The trigger finger hands do a side to side movement. The other hands go up and down. He can crunch forward. He can crunch back, and you can see that strap in action, how that works. And, you know, you can decide for yourself whether if it bothers you or not. He has a waist swivel. His hips can go out that far. He can kick forward a bit. He has a thigh cut, and if you want to move the strap up a bit more, it is just kind of like a floating piece. I had it lower just so that I could twist that, you know, without any hindrance. He does have double jointed knees, and you're not going to be able to get him to kick his butt, but he can kick the back of his middle back, I guess. So there's that. And then he does have boot rotation. I do want to point out that there's a bit of like muscle definition and vein in this part of the sculpt because it's reused from Hercules, but when you get to the boot, that just is cut off. If it bothers you, you know, that just wanted to make sure you were aware of it. Doesn't necessarily bother me. I think it's fine, but then, you know, foot can go up, down, and he does have a decent amount of pivot. So what are my final thoughts on this Cable figure? So like I already discussed, yeah, it's not my mind's eye of Cable, and it may not even be my favorite Cable figure, but it's a good figure, and I think the best of the three. It's got the pinless joints. I think the sculpting is really well done. I think the head sculpt is probably the best of the three as well. I love the way that they printed the like 5 o'clock shadow and the scar on his face. So like, I have nothing but good things to really say about this Cable figure. Nothing seriously bothers me. The articulation is solid. He poses really nice. I think the biggest downside it has for me is just it's not my mind's eye, or it's not my favorite. It's just a really good cable figure, and I'm happy to have him. In terms of fun factor, I would say yes, it's a fun figure to have. Put the guns in his hands, he looks pretty badass. Put him against another character, he looks just as badass and looks like he could really take a beating or give a beating in a fight. But what's my final rating for this cable? I'm going to give him an 8.5. Let's go 8.5 out of 10. It's a really good cable figure. I know it's really hard to get. Now it was kind of getting hard to get, again, thanks to my friend Gwen, who gave this figure a try, but just did not need it for her collection, so passed it along to me. It's now going to be a permanent part of my X-Men display. So yeah, that is everything on cable. All right, and that was my review of these 3 Zabu Build-A-Figure Wave figures. We've got Ka-zar, the Black Winter, and Cable. I hope you all enjoyed this review. Let me know down in the comments if you did. And let me know if you like this little setup here at the end. I was just trying to have a little fun and pose these guys up. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, let me know down in the comments. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you are subscribed, as I will always have more action figure and Marvel Legends content here on the channel. And I will talk to you all in another video, another post, another time.